Howdy, Team Saunders fans. Well, the training's been a little bit slow, not on purpose, just because it's that time of year. And we thought rather than showing another workout video, don't worry, we'll get back to those, we would take a little bit of time to do a little bit more about, hey, who is Team Saunders?
All right, we're gonna do the first few questions, who is more likely to, so we'll see. All right.
Nervous.
Got your marker ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
We're
All right.
cheating.
Who is more likely to forget something and realize it halfway to the race?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times this has happened. I think one year it was even the wetsuits
I think so.
in Waco
Yeah.
in 2019.
Fortunately, our hotel that we were staying at wasn't too far away, and we left with plenty of time the first go round, so we had time to go back and get them. And I think every race since then, there's always been something, at least one thing that's been forgotten, and it's always been on my end.
Can I also say that also who's more likely to leave something in the Airbnb?
Oh, yeah.
I think she's got a streak of every race we did in
know.
2021.
Who is more likely to fangirl a pro athlete?
I mean,
If you haven't been paying attention, especially I think actually the World Championship video, there were a few opportunities where I missed Nikki Bartlett, and I'm still kicking myself for that one. Who is more likely to get into their wetsuit faster? Hey.
huh.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll explain why I think you
Okay.
is because I am very particular about how things feel. Like I will, if it doesn't feel right, I will take it off and put it back on. And that goes from everything from, you know, the sports bra to the heart rate monitor to the wetsuit. So I feel like I'm a little more particular, but sure, I'll take it.
Oh, I feel like I'm always the last one into the wetsuit, so. Speaking of timed, who is most likely to have the faster transition times? Ooh, she's writing a lot better. Hey, as long as we're getting better, right?
I am getting faster. I'm closing the gap to you on transitions, but dang, I think it was the Claremont race where I think that's where it all clicked for you and you just like zipped in and out of transition. I think you may have had the fastest transition for the half iron distance race for the entire field. So kudos to you.
I think ever since that race, it's been like a goal of mine to have fast transitions. I get excited about transitions. Who is more likely to pee on the bike? Yep, totally. I think one time, you did like 2 or 3 times? Oh man.
3 times minimum.
I'm jealous over here. I wish I could do that.
Comes easy to me. I don't know.
Man, I'm getting better, but I need a long downhill to do it. Who is most likely to scavenge a clearance rack in the merch tent? Definitely.
But then she says we have too many t-shirts.
I'm not always necessarily looking for t-shirts. I can't pass up a good deal.
No, you found some good ones, and for that I'm grateful.
Who is most likely to get the crowd pumped up? Ooh.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like it when there's crowds of people, and I love to wave my hands, and even if it's not the finish line, if there's a group that looks like they, are having fun, or maybe they're not having fun, and like, what the heck? You people are watching us race? You should be having a little more fun. Yeah. I remember waving my hands. I think I did that at Chattanooga on the bridge, and just get people excited. It's, it's part of it. You want people who are spending their day watching us do what we do, and collectively I mean triathletes, not just Team Saunders. You want them to enjoy the moment and experience, and maybe give them something motivating or memorable. So that was fun.
Now we got some questions, just our own personal thoughts. What was your favorite sport growing up?
So this is maybe twofold, but my favorite sport, probably because I did it the longest, was bowling. At one point, I thought I was going to pursue a career in professional bowling. I did kind of the regional circuit for a while, bowled in college. But before I really had an opportunity to go pro, the women's pro tour folded, and then it was time to, I guess, go into the real world and work a real job. So I was a sportscaster, but I also loved softball.
For me, I grew up in a small town, and so if you wanted to play any sport, you also had to run track. Now I'm getting off subject a little bit here, but I'm gonna tie this in somewhere. So everyone had to run track, and majority of us did not enjoy running track. So in high school, did not like running. So now I have totally done a 180, and now I really love running, so go figure. But getting back to my favorite sport, softball, and quick fun story. I was pretty good. So my senior year, I was all-state in softball. And funny thing was, this one right here was working for a local newspaper, and she wrote an article about me and took a picture of me. And many years down the road, when Tiffany and I became a thing, we were going through some things, we were moving, and I came across a folder of her articles that she had written. I'm like, hey, this is me. I know this article, and lo and behold, she was the one that took the pictures and wrote the article, so.
Had no idea.
That was fun, that was fun. Why triathlon?
I had just bought a road bike, and it was the winter of 2008. And I was looking for ways to kind of stay motivated to ride the road bike and to get myself back in shape, because, you kind of hit middle adulthood and you kind of maybe get complacent and not as active as you were in the high school days. So I was like, you know what? I like to swim. This bike thing's gonna be pretty cool. I've always thought triathlon was interesting. Really didn't know too much about it, but I thought, maybe I'll give it a go. So I looked up the shortest run triathlon in the vicinity of where I lived at the time and found a triathlon that only had a 2-mile run. But little did I know that it was also in a very hilly part of Texas. So it was a hilly 2 miles and also a hilly bike, but I trained for it. I thought it was the hardest, most brutal thing I'd ever done, even though it was just a sprint triathlon. But as soon as I crossed that finish line, I knew I wanted to keep doing it, and it's so addictive, and it's just brought me so much joy and also brought us together.
So why I fell into triathlon was a friend of mine that we used to work out with. She was like, hey, let's try something new. How about this thing called triathlon? I was like, I don't know anything about it, but I'm down. And so kind of similar to Tiff, I found a triathlon with the shortest swim, but turns out to bite me in the butt because it was on a very hilly run and a very hilly bike course. But all in all, finished, had a hell of a time, so much fun. And during the process of training for my first triathlon, our love story began and our paths crossed. And if you haven't seen that YouTube video, I would suggest going back and seeing how our love story unfolded because of triathlon. Our first triathlon together.
So how we actually met and became a thing was we did a triathlon relay. And initially the runner that was going to do the triathlon relay with myself and another pulled out like maybe 2 weeks before the race, but said, don't worry, I have somebody to fill my spot. I am typically not good with new people, so I was a little hesitant. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but I also didn't want the friend to feel guilty that I would ultimately back out and not do the race because of her. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And so yeah, I'm like, yeah. And then we met and we finished second by 30 seconds. Sylvan Beach.
Yeah,
the Sylvan Beach Triathlon in LaPorte.
Most memorable triathlon moment.
I mean, just because it's so recent, memorable, not necessarily in a good way, was making the decision to DNF at St. George. And that was pretty hard and gut-wrenching. It was like almost 2 hours of internal struggle. I think another memorable moment was at Daytona, just racing at Daytona. I mean, that was pretty darn cool, but I don't think I could nail down one specific memorable moment. I've been fortunate to have many exceptional moments in the sport, and I could probably talk for days, as most triathletes
Right, I
could,
was
about
just gonna say, yeah.
all their experiences.
Right. I think for me, most memorable and least favorite moment comes from the same race, just different years. Ironman Texas 2015, my first full. And to say I was a little nervous about a 2.4 mile swim is an understatement. But when I got out of the water and I met the cutoff time, I remember just being ecstatic and so excited. And I got onto the bike and I was just hauling because I had that adrenaline going, and you know, this one's fish in the water, so I had to do some catching up.
Yeah,
too.
you caught me about mile 92 when we did the rest of the ride together.
Yeah. But then 2017, Ironman Texas 2017, I just knew that I was gonna have some improvement on my swim, and couldn't wait to see how much so. And I remember being so deflated when I got out of the water and seeing that my time was actually slower than 2015. So I was just like, I think that's probably one of my least favorite Ironman memories, or triathlon memories. What about favorite post-race food? Like, just finished the race, going through the athlete food tent.
I'm traditionalist. I know some people, it's a little controversial. Some people don't like the pizza because you get pizza at every race, but because we eat healthy 99% of the time, the post-race is our indulgence. So I'm like, yeah, and when I'm on the run course toward the end and I see people who have already finished with their slices of pizza, sometimes that's my motivation. Is like, I cannot wait to get to the food tent. I want all the pizza that I can possibly get.
I'm the same. Like, we actually do pizza every Friday night, but it's a homemade, healthy version pizza, which is very enjoyable. But sometimes you just want something bad, and you know,
all the crust, all the cheese, all the pepperoni.
Yeah, give me that Papa John's at the end of a Ironman finish. I'll take it, man. I'd chow down on that. So once the race is done, gotten cleaned up, the gear put up, you know, that hunger always hits again. I think what I love going to is a good juicy burger and fries, and finding a good beer.
Yeah, that's, I think, something that's been fun about traveling to races and going to new destinations is we always try to find the local, you know, the local vibe, the local restaurant, and get a really good burger in the communities, and that's been a lot of fun. We've had some good burgers. I remember Claremont's was delicious. I think those fries were just like, oh my goodness, it was incredible. And of course, we usually bring our own beer with us because we keep our beer fridge stocked and pull out the good beers for special occasions. So yeah, always look forward to the post-race burger once we're cleaned up and we can enjoy it. And then if I want to take it one step further, once we get home from the race, a day or two after, then we go do our final official celebratory meal. And we're Texans, true and true. It's always going to be Mexican food, chips and salsa, and a frozen margarita.
Oh yeah, every time.
You hungry yet?
Oh gosh, what are we doing for lunch? Let's go. 2 more questions. Best advice given to you, and what advice would you give?
Best advice given to me, and it makes sense, but it finally resonated in this past year, was basically consistency counts. I've said it before that I, would do a race season, and then maybe it would be 2 or 3 months that I wouldn't look at my bike, and then I'd wonder, like, I'm starting back at 0 to catch up on the bike and never made improvement. So consistency definitely counts. Every little bit that you can do, as much as you can do, just get out the door and do it. Because it will definitely pay dividends, and then you won't be resetting and having to build back up to where you were at the end of last season. So it's going to be a gradual improvement, and that's one thing I do look forward to, seeing that pay off going into a new season next year. And the advice that I would give to anyone in triathlon is just enjoy it. It's going to get hard. No matter what distance you do, there's going to be some point where it hurts, where you want to give up, where it's frustrating, where something doesn't go your way. But always go back and center yourself and remember, you get to do this. Like, you get to do this sport. You get to be out with so many other like-minded folks. And, this is a great way to experience life and stay healthy and do a lot of wonderful things that surround the sport. So just remember that it's fun and let it be.
I think the best advice that has been given to me, I think this takes me back to Ironman 2015, where I think I actually read this in an article where it said, just worry about what's in your immediate bubble. If you're in the water and you're swimming, worry about the swim. Don't get ahead of yourself and start worrying about the bike or the run. Just take each step as it comes and worry about that as it is. Don't get, caught up with what's to come. Just worry about what's happening in the moment. And another big thing, like Tiff was saying, just have fun. If you're having fun and you're smiling, it's gonna be a great day. If I were to give some advice, I would be sure to mention that triathlon, it's not a cheap sport. It's pricey, it is. But I think that the happiness that it brings and the mental wellness that it brings to us, if it's what you love, then it's worth investing in. That's a little bit more to Team Saunders, a little bit more in depth to our thoughts on the sport, and a little bit of who's more likely to.
Maybe we'll do that again sometime. That was a little fun.
That was fun.
If you've got any who's more likely to questions, feel free to drop those in the comments, shoot them our way, or any other questions about the triathlon experience. We're happy to help, we're happy to answer, and at least give it from our point of view. As always, we appreciate you watching. Thanks for kind of diverting with us, but we promise we will get back to the training and racing soon.
There is training going on, don't you worry.
Cool. We appreciate you watching and following along, and we'll see you next time.